Shalom. This is an emergency broadcast alert, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rekakdash, in whom we are in great debt. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who were well, continue doing so, standing firm in the eyes of terror who I learned this truth from. To the elders, the bishops, Akim and Akwab, salutations and blessings to the house of David. We're all the hopeful elect. This is your brother Kwazi Yar with another quick one. And Esau Edom, he gave up his blessing. He gave up his birthright, and then he lost his blessing, and for that, his hatred has continued for his brother ever since. Genesis 27, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, and said, and Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. And since he wasn't able to slay Jacob himself, he had a bigger hatred for his descendants, and he kept following and destroying as many as he could until this day. This hatred has continued until this day. Because what's the reason for him going after these men the way he did? And these men, this is from the Houston riot in 1917, okay? And they were pretty much innocent. These so-called white cops were the ones who were attacking a woman. One of the soldiers saw it, and they tried to intervene. And as they intervened, a fight broke out, and so more cops came and beat the living life out of this soldier. And when these men heard of this, they prepared because they're gonna come after us next. This is what he does. I could place a link. I'm gonna place a link. I'll place a link to these. This is the wiki, and they lied. They don't even tell you the whole truth. But this article does. It goes into more details, but as you can see, it don't show you no pictures. It's like this. There's a person interviewing this general, and somehow this woman got the information and wrote this article. Teresa Nowakowski. All right, and I'll place a link to that too. So listen, and you got to listen to what he says at the end.
Black soldiers were sent to defend a country that didn't defend them, and the result was deadly. This is the story of the Houston riot of 1917. During World War I, over 150 black soldiers from the 24th Infantry Regiment were stationed in Houston, Texas, a deeply segregated city at the time. These soldiers faced constant harassment, racial slurs, and violence from white police officers and citizens simply for wearing their uniforms. Tensions boiled over when a black soldier was brutally beaten and arrested for trying to stop police from assaulting a black woman. Word of his treatment spread quickly through the regiment. Fearing a white mob was coming for them, over 100 black soldiers armed themselves and marched into the city, trying to protect their own. Chaos erupted. By the end, 15 white people and 4 black soldiers were dead. In the largest court-martial in U.S. military history, 19 black soldiers were executed, and dozens more were sentenced to life in prison. They were fighting racism at home while being asked to fight for freedom abroad, but history erased their names. If you didn't know this...
So I'm going to include this piece of this video also because, this smells a lot like Jacob's trouble. Okay?
Tonight, protests escalating into conflict in Los Angeles as the Trump administration's aggressive deportation efforts spark fear and outrage across the country. For the second consecutive day, angry crowds clashed with law enforcement following a series of ICE raids that drew condemnation from local leaders.
You cannot just come into the community and terrorize citizens the way you did.
An ICE raid in Paramount today devolving into chaos. Dramatic aerial footage showing protesters blocking a bus carrying officers. Police in riot gear dispersing crowds with flashbangs and tear gas. The FBI vowing to find people they say threw rocks at law enforcement vehicles. And in New York, video showing this man, which the Department of Homeland Security identified as Joaquin Rosario Espinal of the Dominican Republic. Authorities say Espinal resisted arrest following the dismissal of his immigration proceedings. He and another woman who allegedly assaulted an officer were arrested, authorities say, despite interference by members of the public. The Department of Homeland Security calling for an end to the violence against ICE officers who they claim are facing a 413% increase in assaults when carrying out arrests. The tensions reaching a breaking point just as Kilmar Abrego Garcia arrives back in the United States. The 29-year-old Salvadoran man from Maryland became a symbol of Trump's immigration crackdown after the administration admitted to mistakenly deporting him. The government of El Salvador agreeing to his release to face charges. Abrego Garcia, now the subject of a 2-count federal indictment. Those charges stemming from this 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was pulled over driving an SUV with 9 other people inside.
He's hauling these people for money. You got an dollar is what he's doing.
The Department of Justice alleging Abrego Garcia was part of a human smuggling ring responsible for transporting drugs, weapons, and migrants, including MS-13 gang members. His attorney called the charges preposterous, and his wife had previously denied he had any affiliation with the gang. With sources tell ABC News that the decision to indict Abrego Garcia led to the abrupt resignation of a top federal prosecutor in Tennessee.
Now remember, he tells you something first. See what happened with, oh, they made a mistake, but they want to correct it by doing something else that is evil. All right? Because guess what? What's the proof that that man was doing what you say he was doing? You know, those people could have been people who he works with. All right? Who knows? Going back to this incident, okay? Think about it. This is his MO. So it all comes down to the Northern Kingdom get it first and Judah get it the worst. You know, it is what it is. So with that said, I hope this was edifying. Shalom.